agenda for our monthly meeting for Tuesday, January 17, 2023. Commissioners, if you will note on your agenda, the presentation of ESG will be postponed. So unless objection, we will go ahead and move on to the next item, which is a presentation regarding Human Trafficking Awareness Month by Brittany Thompson.
Shelley's going to present.
Oh.
I think she's going to read it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Commissioner Vandegrift, you have the floor, ma'am.
I wanted to take the time to read a proclamation concerning Human Trafficking Awareness Day. Whereas human trafficking occurs when a person is recruited, harbored, obtained, transported, sold, traded, or exploited through force, fraud, or coercion for the purposes of sexual and labor exploitation, involuntary servitude, debt bondage, or slavery, or when any other commercial sex act is committed upon a minor. And whereas the authority of the traffickers' facilities to dehumanize and material commodification is its victims, corrupting the inherent human rights and the dignity of each individual. And whereas we recognize that human trafficking disproportionately affects those marginalized in our community, and cultural oppression, including racism and ethnic bias, creates additional risk for the exploitation and generates unique challenges for the prevention and intervention. Whereas no community is impervious to the potential for exploitation of its most vulnerable citizens, it is important that all citizens are equipped to recognize and respond to this reality of trafficking by disrupting the veil of secrecy that allows it to thrive for the purpose of restoring hope and healing to those affected, assuring victims that they have the strength of their community to overcome their victimization experience. Therefore, aligning with the state of Tennessee and the rest of the nation, the city of Knoxville hereby recognized January 11th as Human Trafficking Awareness Day. On this day, we remember and further our commitment to ending human trafficking by promoting awareness through fact-based community education opportunities to unite and equip Knoxville and surrounding areas to report and respond to this crime, fostering and celebrating the new and existing partnerships through fluid dialogue and candid conversation that pave the way for increased collaboration and intervention, and more robust legislation to end human trafficking and protect survivors. Further, an inclusive, community-wide response in which everyone has an important part to play and a moral obligation to work together in collaborating toward ending human trafficking and meeting the needs of those affected. Creating space to reflect upon and honor the resilience, courage, and perseverance of human trafficking survivors in our community.
Thank you so much, Commissioner, for reading that. My name is Brittany Thompson, and I'm with the Community Coalition Against Human Trafficking. I just wanted to take a minute to say thank you, especially to Anderson County for having me here, for recognizing that this does happen in this county, and it does happen in all of the counties in Tennessee. We serve 33 counties, and I think other than 4 counties, we've had a referral youth and adult from each one of those counties in 2022. So thank you so much for having us here. I'm hoping that you will be seeing a lot more of us, not because it's starting to happen, but because it's already happened, and we're going to be providing services to Anderson County specifically. So thanks again for having us, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your time. Commissioners, next item on the public hearing, part of the consent agenda is a public hearing, resolution number 23-1-1072, and that's to amend the zoning resolution to include the property at 3433 Lake City Highway, Rocky Top, parcel 035, tax map 030 from A2, rural residential, to I2, heavy industrial district. We will also include in the public hearing a resolution number 23-1-1073, amending the zoning resolution to include the property at 122 Mountainside Lane, Rocky Top, parcel 030, tax map 008 from A2, rural residential district, to A1, agriculture forestry district. Is anyone in the audience tonight here to speak on the public hearing portion of any of these two rezoning requests? All right, if you would, sir, come to the podium, state your name and your address, and we will give you approximately 3 minutes to speak. If we start having more and more comments, then of course we'll have to try to organize a little bit so everybody will have an opportunity to speak. Go ahead, sir.
I'm Brian Sellers, Underwood Paving and Trucking, the 3433 Lake City Highway for the rezoning. I just wanted to put a shop up there to store my equipment, and that's about it.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Isbell.
Sellers has went to everyone that was notified with the neighbors, even the ones that didn't get certified letter. And Mr. Sellers has went around to all the neighbors, the ones that got certified letter, everyone in the neighborhood, everyone he could talk to, and let them know exactly what he was doing. And I've got feedback that, you know, they were okay with it, and I don't know that anybody's here to oppose that one.
Thank you, sir. I also know that the zoning officer said the proper signage was put up and placed and everything, so hopefully with all that, everyone that didn't need to know was notified. Appreciate the efforts on that.
All right.
Any questions for the speaker? All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else in the audience? Yes, sir, come to the podium. Your name and address, please, sir.
My name is Tommy Gross, and I'm here on the property at 122 Mountainside Lane. And I'm proposing to put in a small RV campground, less than 10 units. And it's basically just to help my retirement income. And that's about it.
I'm sorry, what was your name again, sir?
It's actually Thomas Gross, Gross.
Thomas Gross?
Yes.
Yes, the one on Mountainside. Yep. Okay. Any questions for Mr. Gross? Commissioner Nenenberg?
122 Mountainside Lane in Rocky Top.
Any other questions? Commissioner White?
Tell me where Mountainside Road is.
You know where the Kentucky Fried Chicken is? And then there's a hotel there? It runs right, the road runs right between them.
How far does that road go back up to the bridge?
I have no idea. I've never been up there. Our property is actually when you cross the railroad tracks, right there and to the right.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any further questions? Commissioner, oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner McCamey.
This property is bordered by the railroad and the interstate,
Yes.
so you basically have no neighbors in there, right?
Well, we do have one person right to the right of us, but I know that he's had some problems with code enforcement, but my son has helped him clean his place up. And he's has no problem with it.
Okay,
He's really the closest neighbor.
all right, thank you.
Any further questions?
The only
Commissioner
issue
Foster.
on the city side of things is that it's a very narrow road coming into that. I don't know how familiar you are, but when you turn, Colonial is a pretty good sized road coming where KFC, Econo Lodge, but as you turn down Mountainside, that is a pretty narrow road. And that would be the biggest concern is, you know, RV traffic going across that road. And then from the law enforcement side, it's ATVs. That is a road that's not allowed, you know, the ATVs are not allowed. Which obviously we only control from the railroad back to the city, but the county has jurisdiction on the other side of the road, but that would be the two concerns from the city.
Okay. Thanks, sir. Commissioner Yeager?
I'd like to ask our zoning area for clarification then. On an A1 permitted use, does this fall into the parks, playgrounds, swimming pools, campground on Is this officially a campground, or what's the designation for this?
For the A1,
Yes. I mean, I have it here on my screen, but is this and it says other recreational uses, so
right.
is that where this would fall in?
Specifically on number 8?
Yes.
Parks, playgrounds, swimming pools, campgrounds, athletic fields, and other recreational uses.
Okay,
But it's not included in A2. So that's why he's wanting to switch it from A2 to A1.
gotcha. Okay, thanks.
Commissioner Isbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have had the people that live up on the hill call me and talk about how narrow the road is, and I've actually went up there myself. It is a very narrow road. And, I'm concerned, like, Commissioner Foster too, as well as with the ATV traffic, if we have it there. I don't know is it just, are you catered to the ATVs or just anybody, or?
If anybody that wants to camp, have an RV camper, we're gonna have, I think the zoning, when you get above 10, you have to have, it changes, you have to have bathhouses and all
Right.
that. That's why we want to keep it less than 10.
Yeah.
And
And that's, I guess that's some of the neighbors' concerns, and I actually went up there and looked at it myself. When you cross the railroad track and you start to turn in, if it's a large RV, it's gonna be a sharp turn, isn't it?
Well, we've got the road where it's not right there where it's an immediate turn. We moved the
Okay.
road down, and we're actually planning on putting it more in the back where it's out of the flood zone.
Okay, all right, thank you,
And there's no houses or anything back in there.
all right.
Were you planning on building a house there originally?
Originally, yes. And I still would plan on doing that, but what took so long is we had to get it zoned or get it surveyed because they said that we might be in a flood zone there, and it took us 4 months to get a surveyor. And I just got the survey about 3 or 4 weeks ago. But that's what the hangup has been. But I still would like to put in a house. We have an easement up there, and there was like a little plateau up there that overlooks that property, and I plan on putting the house there and living in it.
Okay. You live in the camper there now?
My son is staying there.
Your son, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any further questions? Commissioner Mays.
Is there a limit on the size of the RV that he can put? There's not one. Okay. Will you have any restrictions on that in terms of size?
I guess if, you pull it behind a truck, I don't think I can get a semi in there with a 40 but,
Okay.
If it's too big, I don't have an answer for that. Whatever the normal, the RV campers that you pull behind a pickup truck, I know that there are some very, very large ones. They could fit in there probably, but I would probably restrict, if the size was too big.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any further questions? All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else in the audience want to speak on any of these two rezoning requests? All right. Hearing none, we will go ahead and end the public hearing. And for those of y'all who are interested in the votes, we'll be voting on these on our regular agenda that will start at 6:30. We will be in recess till 6:30.